We are here talking about textile, cotton, fabric. I don't think there could be a better time to be talking about this kind of topic because of the renewal. Because when I grew up from Western Kenya as a young boy, my father was growing cotton. And we had ginneries in Malakisi, in Nambale. So we grew cotton and we made our clothes. And those were the days of deacons. So we had Kenyan made clothes and Kenyan shops. We all know what happened, and we lost the road. When I look at what is happening today, we want to go back there, and we want to go back there very, very quickly. But we're also speaking about this at a time when government is very open to new ideas. I know that within the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, textile apparels is a critical area. So I know I've had a lot of meetings even before I came here. I think 2 days ago we had a meeting with the US Embassy, the ambassador and others on the issue of how do we promote textiles. When we were in the US with the president and Perry was there, we met the American Apparel Association, we met the Children's Place, very keen, and as a ministry we have already made a number of commitments on how we will support them. We also, so we have a very reformist thinking government. I have a CS that is ready to go. If you have a good idea and you tell us what we do, we will be on it. The president has given us very serious commitments for this sector because we think that we have been sitting on a very important area. So you have my commitment that whatever we are putting together, one of the issues that we were grappling with in the US was the issue of AGOA, because it's coming to an end in 2025. So part of our negotiations was to get AGOA renewed. And the challenge that we were getting from the American Congress and investors is, yes, we gave you an opportunity, duty-free, quota-free, you're not making good use of it. So although we are a leading exporter to the US and of textiles, we have not really gotten to a point where we've taken advantage of AGOA. So the commitment quietly that we have, we know there's a process. As a government, we are pushing that AGOA be extended for another 10 years. But there's also on the sidelines of that, there is the steep negotiations, the special agreement between Kenya and US that is also, and at some point, maybe the two will merge into one or whatever works. But there is a serious commitment. We are confident that this will work. If you look at the global scenario, we see that with what's happening in China now, and also with the war in Ethiopia, we see a lot of interest in Kenya. And although I know that we talk about competitiveness in the region, which is very, very important for us, we have our challenges, but we also have our advantages. I see when you go to Ethiopia, for example, power is very cheap, but they can only get power sometimes for 4 hours. So cheap power, 4 hours, I don't know how you can manufacture. So you have other challenges. On the issue of our special economic zones and the EPZ, and Vanuel has said about it, for a lack of a better word, we have lagged behind developing our industrial parks for people to black in. I agree with you. We, as a country, should stop showing investors grazing fields, places where people should graze cattle, as a place to invest. And my brother from EPZ is here. You take people to Naivasha to show them a piece of grassland, and you're telling them this is where we are going to invest. That will stop. Yes, so if we really want people to plug into this, they're not coming to graze cattle. The Maasais are already doing that. We need to show people complete industrial parks with infrastructure. roads, electricity, customs, even playgrounds, basketball, the way people are doing. Because that is the only way that we can become competitive. I am aware that we are now trying to invest to work with private sector to actually get this work, but we need to fast track it, because then this is one of the big areas that we need to look at. I think a week or two ago I visited Rivertex. Some of you that are here and you are in this business, if you have not gone to Rivertex, you are missing a very good opportunity, because this is one of our largest and most modern textile factory. The government of Kenya has invested in the last 5 years, 5 billion in Rivertex. So they have the state-of-the-art technology that is doing, but it's working under capacity. So we can do more. And one of the areas that we have identified that we really need to work with is cotton growing. So this last financial year when we came in, I think we had budgeted about 50 million for growing of cotton. This year, with the coming financial year, we've increased it to 200 million. There is a very slow response from farmers because they're always very skeptical whether will I be paid, who will pay. And we are working with the county governments. We're actually convening a meeting with county governments so that we look at something else that I'm promoting called county industrial parks. And we want the county industrial parks to have an element of how do we do ginning, because if the farmers are growing, we need aggregation to aggregate the cotton and to gin. So one of the ideas that we want to introduce, especially in the cotton growing areas, is maybe part of the work of ginning could be taken as an industrial park, so that the farmers can aggregate. If it's Busia, you have one place where you can get all your cotton. It's one thing to grow your cotton, it's another one to get it in one place. So we'd like to, and I think in February we are going to have a cotton tour, and I want to invite you, all of you, to join us. We want to go through the cotton growing areas, Elgeyo Marakwet, Baringo, Bungoma, Busia, Siaya, Homa Bay, Makueni, Kwale, like that. We want to organize a cotton tour, and I think working with KAM and other players, so that we can create awareness before the rains come, that farmers can grow cotton. And also to talk to the counties about aggregation centers and ginning of cotton. The challenge you have also in this space is BT cotton seed. I think there's only one seed supplier of cotton. I've not met him. I don't know how he looks like, but he seems to be playing hide and seek. And I think there's a bit of monopoly also in that area. So we see a challenge. So maybe one of the areas that we need to do, I don't know how it's done, Nobi Majaria is here, or my director, how to open up more space for cotton seed, so that we have more players, we have competition, so that we can have fair prices, and also somebody that's accessible to the farmers. So I think that's something that we need to really put our heads together, so that we can actually address that issue. The other issue that, and also when I looked at Rivertex, they're doing a lot of making apparels, but when you look at the end of the product, I will tour the place, and Professor is here, the CEO of Rivertex. Maybe if you want some business, you talk to him. You have a very huge investment in the production, but when you reach where it matters, where you are now making the end product, it's very thin. So it's like, I see a situation where if we are going to grow, either you yourself need to expand the area of garment making, or maybe partner with somebody else that has capacity to even to kind of, I got very good shirts. I bought very good shirts. Some of you who watch, you saw me, I was there fashion show. And everybody was asking, where do I get this? Where do I get this shirt? And I gave them his number, and I don't think it's fair, because they're asking, those shirts look very good. You mean this is made in Kenya? I say, yes. But where do I get them? Here in Nairobi or Mombasa, wherever. So there is an element of how do we get more value for what you're doing, because you get more money if we get more garments out of it. And the other issue that, of course, that we are working with Rivertex is for them to meet the international standards, for AGOA to get the RAP and the other certifications that would enable them then also get into that market. When we were in the US, one of the things that we were reminded about is that actually our energy here is 100% renewable. It's just a question of branding. If you look at the energy we are using, and this is what we did, and Barry was there, why are we not selling that our products are made with renewable energy, with energy that is safe? It's an element that we have missed. I know we have international certifications and standards, but then if you look at the source of our energy for our textiles, it's highly renewable, and I think that's an area that we need to put into our thinking. In terms of the investment climate, and Fanuel has talked about this, we now have, actually there's a whole task force of government that's looking at that area of investment, the gaps that we have identified. Some of these are taxation issues, some of them, even the conditions within the EBZ and the special economic zones. We are looking at that so that we are competitive, so that what other people are offering, we can also see how that can be done. So that I think there is a task force working under the presidential advisor, David D, to actually review not just the taxation, but also some of the laws that we have put in terms of like local equity and ownership of companies for them to operate in some of the sectors. I think the ICT sector had that issue and others. So there's an environment that we are looking at. In terms of Buy Kenya, I want to buy the idea of SHA, that one of the most controversial things that we often don't want to speak about is the issue of mitumba. Because, as you know, we are coming from a hustler nation, so the hustlers have their say. And so the issue is, how do we integrate the people who sell mitumba into new clothes business in the spirit of Buy Kenya, Build Kenya? And I think the idea is very good. These people are generating a livelihood by selling used clothes. They know where the market is. They are very pushy, you know it. They are in our offices, they are in our businesses, they are in every available road space in Nairobi. And I think that the textiles industry in Kenya will grow by addressing the issue of how do we integrate mitumba sellers into our business. If we see them as problems, as enemies, as competitors, we will not succeed. And so part of what we'll say is, can you sell your mitumba, but can you also sell the new clothes? Because they know the market, they understand the dynamics, they know who buys, they know the demand, they know the preferences. So all this, actually that knowledge is very, very, very important. On the issue of skills, I agree. I've just come from the TVET sector. That's where I've been for the last 10 years. And yes, I used to tell people that TVET is life. The way we lost it, initially we had a lot of interest in our polytechnics and technical training institutions. At another point, we got carried away with the idea of university degrees and bachelors and what have you. So we kind of did not invest very well in our technical institutions. Over the last 5 years, there has been a lot of investment in technical education and training. I know a lot of technical institutions that are teaching issues of textile, apparel. So what we need is to create clear linkages between this sector and the TVET sector, because they have machines, they have a lot of good machines, they have very good technical know-how. So one of the areas is to really say, how do we work? Like if you're in Nakuru, I know the Kenya Industrial Training Institute. If you are in Eldoret, there is the Rift Valley Technical Training Institute, there's Eldoret National Polytechnic, there's Kisumu National Polytechnic that is doing a lot of good work. In fact, it's our center of excellence in textiles in the region, in the whole of the East African region. So there is a lot of opportunity for skills development within our TVET sector if we are able to really engage. So there is already some background there, there's good information, there is good technology that we can then work on. On the issue of Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, because this is an important aspect, what we have said is that yes, there's a framework. Currently, government institutions are buying uniforms, shoes, even our Kenya Defence Forces, National Police Service. The directive is that they all buy local, and they are doing that. But we can do more. So we have a list, I think, which we review every year, the list of products that need to be included in the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya initiative. What we have agreed is that the framework and government agencies have to report on a quarterly basis how much of their procurement has gone to Kenyan products. So I think what we need to do is work with the Kenya Association of Manufacturers to review, to see how we can make that document and that process more inclusive, more effective for everyone. So I think that the way it is today, I see a lot of reports coming in on what people have bought. But one of the questions that I always ask is, how do we know this was made from Kenya? And so one of the issues that we've been working with the Kenya Bureau of Standards is how do we get a proper mark of made in Kenya, so that when somebody is saying this is I bought from this is made in Kenya, that we have traceability, that we have a clear idea if that this product is part of what you're talking about. So I think that we can revamp. The idea is there. We already have a policy that was passed by cabinet in 2021. We are now working towards a bill of local content and Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, and we can do more, because there is no way you're going to grow this country without growing our industries. And we can only grow our industries by saying, if something is available locally, let's buy it from here, because we have young people that need jobs, we have an economy that needs to grow. I think that we are importing things that we need here. And so if we work with you very closely, that is an area that Build Kenya, there is a lot of goodwill. We are already in discussions with the Office of the Deputy President so that we can relaunch it in a more elaborate, bigger way, revamp it. We have a national steering committee that has never met on how to promote Build Kenya, Build Kenya. We don't want it to be a government thing. We want it to be something that is shared between the government, the private sector, the NGOs for issues of sustainability, like what we have said here, so that we can actually buy Kenya and build this country. The other issue that we are also looking at in that space is the issue of prompt payments. It pains me that we cannot grow industries in this nation of ours if we cannot pay for goods that we have bought from local manufacturers. I always give the example of my son. About 2-3 years ago, he asked me, he wanted to go into mushroom growing, and so he asked me to invest in it. And he had seen his friends doing it here around Nairobi. So he spent considerable time going around to Kiridi to learn how mushrooms are grown and all that, online, Google, everything. Eventually he got into it, and he was making 30-50 kilograms of mushrooms per week. And then now, so he was very excited. The mushrooms are here. He was packing gong mushrooms, so very nicely done. But he takes it to a supermarket. So he sells 30,000 worth. So he delivers to a supermarket, and he's told, we'll pay you when we sell. So he has delivered, so he goes back this week, he's given 3,000 shillings. He says, that's all, that's what we have sold. So he comes back next week, he's given 1,500. How long do you think he will take? And he has to supply again. So in the end, he just got himself into a big mess. So he has supplied supermarkets to 50 people, none of them is paying. He's getting 1 5 so he's spending more money looking for money. Of course, you can guess the result. Eventually, he gave up. And I suspect that what I'm describing is a lot of what our young people are going through. We cannot grow our industries if we cannot pay for what they are producing. I know as the government we also stand accused, but I want to say that we have also spread these bad manners to the private sector. And so the idea of prompt payment is an idea that as a country we need to take up. Whether you are in the private sector, whether you are in the public sector, if we are not going to pay for things that we are getting from our young people, we cannot grow our industries. And yet, when we are importing our goods from China, what do? You go online, you make the order, you pay in US dollars. In advance, when the goods reach Mombasa, KRA gives you a bill, you pay your taxes, so the Chinese goods reach your supermarket fully paid. The Kenyan goods come to you on credit. And mushrooms of 30,000, you want this guy to keep coming back 10 times for him to get paid. So I think that as a country, we have developed, sorry for lack of a better word, Chair, bad manners. And so, for me who is in this space, I'm not going to promote industrialization where people produce goods that we don't want to pay for or that we are reluctant to pay for. And so, we need to work with you and your team to say, we can only grow Kenya if we are going to buy from Kenyans and pay them promptly so that they can also go back to the production. And so that they spend less time looking for money from you. So for me, that is extremely critical. So let's see whether we need legislation, whether we need a national rallying call for this so that we can actually move forward. I think that with those many remarks, I suspect my 10 minutes is over. I really want to say that I'm learning. I intend to make a difference while working in this space. So I welcome all your ideas on how we can make our industrialization work. I believe that as a country we are sitting on a lot of potential, and if we put all our ideas and put our ideas into action, I believe in the action. As a country and as a continent of Africa, we have produced way too many policies and way too many papers. I do not intend to make more policies. We really must implement. So we must move from these nice written documents and papers to action so that we can transform the lives of our people, especially the young people. So with those many remarks, I thank you.